He had only 200 rupees in his pocket, a tired heart, and a daughter waiting for him at home. But that night, when he pulled a bleeding girl out of a burning car, he didn't know one thing. She was a millionaire, and she would change his entire life in a way he never imagined. Fade in. Open book chapter 1, The Night That Changed Everything. Arsalan was a 32-year-old single father, living in a small rented room on the outskirts of the city. Once, he dreamed of becoming an engineer, but life had other plans. After his wife died during childbirth, he became both mother and father to his newborn daughter, Aisha. He cooked, cleaned, worked double shifts, and prayed every night that she would have a life better than his. People in his neighborhood laughed at him for taking any job he found, loading trucks, cleaning shops, fixing broken electrical wires. A single dad can't raise a girl alone, they whispered. But Arsalan ignored them. Every time he looked at Aisha's smile, he found strength again. On a cold December night, he finished a long shift at a workshop. He was exhausted, hungry, and worried because Aisha had a school project due the next day, one he couldn't afford the materials for. With only 200 rupees in his pocket, he planned to buy bread and tea for their dinner. But fate had other plans. As he walked down the dim road, a loud crash tore through the silence. Tires screeched, metal twisted, and sparks flew into the darkness. Arsalan froze for a second, then sprinted toward the noise. A white luxury car had slammed into a tree, smoke pouring from the engine. The headlights flickered against the empty road. Inside, a young woman, no older than 25, was slumped over the steering wheel, blood dripping from her forehead. Arsalan didn't think twice. He dropped his bag and rushed toward the burning vehicle. Flames licked the front bumper. The windshield had cracked into a spiderweb. He pulled the door, but it was jammed. Smoke choked his throat, his eyes burned, and the heat bit at his skin. "Someone help!" he shouted, but there was no one. Not a single soul on the road. He braced his foot against the car and yanked with all his strength. The door gave way with a violent crack. He reached inside, coughing, and carefully lifted the girl out. She was unconscious but breathing faintly. He carried her to the side of the road just as the engine roared and burst into flames behind him. Arsalan shielded her with his body as shards of glass flew into the air. His heart pounded. For a moment, he thought they both would die. But the explosion settled, and the flames began to die down. She opened her eyes slightly, whispering, "Please, don't leave me. I'm not going anywhere," he said softly. He called an ambulance from a nearby petrol station and stayed with her until help arrived, even though it meant he would reach home late and Aisha would be alone and scared. When the ambulance took the girl, the paramedic asked, "Sir, you saved her life. Do you know who she is?" He shook his head. "She's Zara Ali, the daughter of the city's wealthiest industrialist." Arsalan's eyes widened. But before he could say a word, the ambulance sped away into the night. He didn't know that saving her was only the beginning, and his life was about to be rewritten. Open book chapter 2, The Millionaire Who Returned. The next days were hard. Arsalan hadn't slept properly since the accident. He'd missed a shift to stay at the hospital and check on the girl, even though the security guards never allowed him inside. He left a small note at the reception that read, "I'm the man who rescued you. I hope you recover soon, Arsalan." He never expected a reply. He returned home every night to find Aisha waiting at the window, asking, "Baba, are you okay?" He smiled and said yes, even though he hid his burns and bruises from her. A week later, while Arsalan was repairing a generator at a wealthy villa, a black car pulled up in front of him. Two guards stepped out, then a woman in a light blue dress, the same girl he saved. Zara Ali. She walked toward him with tears already forming. "Are you Arsalan?" she asked. He wiped his oily hands on his shirt, embarrassed. "Yes, madam. I hope you're better now." She shook her head softly. "You risked your life for me, and I didn't even know your name." Before he could reply, she hugged him. It stunned him. No rich person had ever hugged him, let alone thanked him. "I owe you everything," she whispered. He stepped back shyly. "You don't owe me anything. You were hurt. Anyone would have done the same." "No," she said firmly. "Not everyone would walk into fire for a stranger." She asked about his life, his job, his daughter. Arsalan didn't complain, he simply explained things as they were. Zara's eyes softened when she heard about Aisha. Later that evening, Arsalan returned to his small home and froze. Zara was sitting inside, chatting with Aisha, laughing as if she'd known them for years. Aisha ran to him. "Baba, this auntie brought me books, colors, and a big school bag." Arsalan looked at Zara questioningly. She smiled. "I didn't come to give gifts. I came with a proposal." He blinked. "What proposal?" She stepped forward. "Arsalan, I want to give you a stable job. A house. A future for your daughter. Not as charity, but because you deserve it. You saved my life. Let me help you rebuild yours." He felt overwhelmed. "Madam, I'm just a poor man. Why would you do all this?" Zara looked at him with sincerity that could melt stone. "Because money can be earned again. Life cannot. You gave me life. Let me give yours back." Tears he'd held back for years finally broke free. He fell to his knees, wiping his eyes. "I've never been given anything without a price." Zara knelt beside him. "This has no price. Only gratitude." With her support, Arsalan became a safety supervisor in her company, steady salary, insurance, and dignity. Aisha got a scholarship to a prestigious school. They moved into a clean, safe apartment. And slowly, Arsalan's life transformed completely. Months later, on the anniversary of the accident, Zara invited him and Aisha to her home. When they arrived, she handed him a framed photograph. It was a picture of the crashed car, with the caption, "The night I almost died. And the day Arsalan was reborn." He looked up, stunned. "Why this?" he asked. Zara smiled.